Hello, Hispanic Patriot fans. We are here tonight after a brief hiatus. Hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. And we're now into the Christmas season. Thank you. We have my co-host Nick Razzo here with us tonight. And without further ado, we will get into the show.
Very much so, very much so. Thank you, Hugo. Hello, and welcome to the Hispanic Patriot Podcast, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret undisclosed location in the heart of the very jolly state of Colorado, as you all can hear. Here we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. Thank you for joining us. My name is Nicholas Razzo, and without further ado, I present to you all our fearless patron, Hugo Chavez. Right, give it up for the Hispanic Patriot Podcast, everybody.
All right. Golf clap.
We'd be louder if we
Yes.
weren't so chill, guys. It's very relaxed. It's a beautiful time, especially here in Colorado. The snow hasn't hit quite yet. It's still very nice and kind of warm here.
Well, I got to say, this is my favorite time of the year. It has always been my favorite holiday, um, for obvious reasons. The main one, of course, is the birth of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and
Gracias a Dios.
that's what the season is all about. But we also celebrate the festivities for Christmas. We have parties to go to, people to meet, and gather and eat, drink, and be merry.
Yes,
Uh,
very much so.
so
Especially tomorrow, Hugo. I mean, we probably want to get that out there that the Colorado Hispanic Republicans are having a Christmas party tomorrow.
yes, absolutely.
Yes, yes, we will link that in the description, folks. We'll put it on our Facebook page. Please use the QR code to get tickets now. You're not going to want to miss this. What other Christmas party has a pinata and is on a day with good weather? Ask yourself that. So we'll hope to see you there.
Yep, they've got a link up now too, where some people weren't able to use the QR code. So if you can't use the QR code, definitely use the link.
Yes, we will
Um,
find a way to get you in. Do not worry about that.
but even if you aren't able to pre-register, you can register at the door.
Yes,
Uh, I know they prefer advanced registration for the purpose of making sure there's enough food.
yes.
So for that reason, if you're having trouble, definitely reach out to them via their Facebook page, and they'll be happy to accommodate you so that we can get the right head count.
And be happy to
Um,
see you.
and yours truly will be singing after a couple drinks.
Yes, all of you can hear me and Hugo singing, and I had a lot of practice in Mexico where I recently was, so I am ready to go. I am ready for this karaoke.
Yes, and dress festively.
Yes,
Absolutely,
please.
it's a great time. It's a great season. We just got through a great election. People are upbeat uh, for the first time in a long time, and I'm happy
Deservedly
to see
so.
it. Yep. So we
Same
got
here.
plenty to celebrate tomorrow night, and we look forward to seeing all those of you that can make it tomorrow night. So I want to open up tonight. As we know, our my co-host Nick was down south of the border recently, and for to attend a cousin's wedding. Is that correct?
It is correct, and boy,
Okay.
what a wedding it was. It was absolutely amazing. I mean, whatever the health routine in Mexico is, if it's what I thought I saw it was, which was eating delicious food and dancing the night away, that's the kind of exercise and health and diet routine I would love because I saw people your age, Hugo. Now I understand. You have to understand people. Hugo was running circles around me at the RNC. He was full of energy when I just wanted to just pack it in. So I mean, we have to understand we want a love of life like we have down there here because whether you're Hispanic or not, that's the kind of life that gives you extra life, man. I saw older people doing amazing things, and I met so much of my family there. There was so much love and energy there. Um, yeah, I mean, Hugo, you also, it's interesting because I actually came on the show, that first time when you were on a trip to Peru. So you yourself know what it's like to
Yeah,
kind of see the contrast between La Patria and here in the United States of America, our home that we love.
yeah. I got of course my family's down there. I'll be going. We'll be going down there in April. Um,
Beautiful.
we're going to do April 23rd would have been my mom's 100th birthday, so we're going to plan a celebration of life event, and we're going to do it upright because she wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, I
She'll
love
be
that.
she'll be there in spirit, and you know, I think the best part for me now is knowing that she's no longer suffering. Um, she's home. She's in her new body. She's with our Lord and Savior, and smiling down upon us. She's now our guardian angel, and I know that that she's definitely looking out for me and all our all my brothers, sisters, all the family, and so in April we're going to have a grand celebration down there, and hopefully I'll be able to broadcast some video from down there at that.
Oh, we
It'll still be kind of summertime down there, so it'll be great.
oh man, wonderful. And that's because you said the 23rd. Is that correct?
23rd of
the
April.
the reason that that's quite amazing to me, just sort of an unscripted moment here, is my father. So the day that your mother came into the world, a day later, that was my when my father exited the world, was the 24th. So I find that quite amazing, people, that there's always little connections here and there because how else would such a thing come to be, where the person so important to me and Hugo, a mom and a dad so close together. I know my dad's watching right now as well, and it's absolutely an amazing feeling to go back because that was, you all have to understand, I didn't see my family for about 10 to 12 years, for a long time, just because various things of life, get in the way, and
Yeah,
it's hard to see family like that. But that family tradition is so strong that you really can come back. I encourage all my American friends to have no fear in returning to your family roots, to rediscover your family, because there really is, 9 times out of 10 you're going to have a positive or at least a very strong learning experience. The fact that namesake was so important, that people had remembered reputation. Remember in America where your reputation was everything to you. That honor-based culture is very much still a part of Mexico, and people have to understand, and maybe stop exoticizing Hispanic America a little bit, because the whether it is in, maybe Hugo can back me up on this, in Peru, or I saw it definitely in Mexico, the Hispanic America is a lot more civilizationally North America, I would say fully American, than people give it credit for. Mexico, especially in the north of Monterrey, where I had a connecting flight, very American in a lot of ways.
oh yeah,
If you can get past the fact that everyone's speaking a different language, it actually kind of tripped me out a little bit to see people that I would have expected to speak Spanish speaking English fully in the United States. It made me realize something, that an American is an American mentally, whether he's speaking Spanish or English, because the ideals that we have as Americans, they are time immemorial. They go back to ancient Rome and Greece. They go back to the British Enlightenment. We have so much to offer the whole world in freedom because it's universal ideas. Because no matter what language you hear this in, it's a story of freedom. It's the promise of freedom. But really, something I really loved is Mexicans' opinion of Trump. Because according to the media, you must assume that Mexicans must be up in arms about Trump. They hate Trump. No, they said that Trump was, the word they described him as was nacionalista, nacionalisto. He was a nationalist. That's what people understood him is that Trump is a person who loves America, puts America first. And we had a president, they said, in Mexico that said the same thing. We're going to put Mexico first. And they had harsh rhetoric, and yet the Mexican president and the president Donald Trump were able to work together, brought an entire Mexican army to guard the border. Mexicans don't want drugs coming through the country. They don't want, illegal immigrants, because people have to understand now these people are coming from China and Somalia and all kinds of places
Yeah.
that we don't even have reference for. So, Mexicans very much understood. And they Mexicans were smart people. They didn't believe in the hyperbole of the media. Oh, Donald, he's this, he's that. They understood, we have our own media. They lie too. We understood exactly what's going on. So yeah, just an amazing awareness. But there was one kind of thing that I noticed, that we in America and them in Mexico, we know shockingly little about each other. Our media spends so much time lying across the border that we barely even know what's really going on here. And when I told them that, for example, that Hispanics are set by 2050 to become a majority of the electorate, that Hispanic Americans make up, the usual facts that me and Hugo talk about on the show, they were amazed. They're like, wow, I had no idea that was the case. I had no idea there were so many Hispanic people. There was one person that they knew, though, actually, Hugo, and
Yeah.
he is a good friend of ours. They knew Greg Lopez. They knew that a Mexican American named Greg Lopez was just recently elected to Congress. So that was interesting to me, that they are paying attention now, that there's a lot of attention now.
Yeah. And the thing that you speaking about the culture, and the culture is the American culture is very real throughout Central and South America.
Absolutely.
Everywhere you go, people are wearing New York Yankees hats and other T-shirts
Playing American music.
and yeah, I mean, so the culture is there. They're more Americanized than they really understand, and especially my generation and even the current generation. I see it when I go down there. I mean, they're all wearing American products. They're all using American products, and you see like when you go to the malls and the stores and the music playing on the loudspeakers is all American music.
But
So
I will say one thing, Hugo. I do have, there were not a lot of American stores anymore when I went there. In fact, clothing was very cheap. It was very think food was very cheap. And I was amazed by this, that the things that our Democrat government loves to regulate and put out of business so that we have to buy food from God knows where, and we have to put God knows what in it, and we have to buy all of our manufactured goods from China so that they have us buy the anyways.
so
There
is
was
this in
aware of
Mexico City or?
in Mexico City, absolutely. I
So
saw a lot of European shops.
that's
I saw a
interesting
lot of
that you mentioned that, because when you go to Peru, the minute you get off the plane, um, all you see are American restaurants. You see KFC, Chili's, uh, TGI Fridays, Burger
Oh,
King,
you see, I didn't see
Mc-
that a lot. I saw.
McDonald's. I mean, as you drive into town, you pass you got Pizza Hut, you got all the American cuisine
No,
down
you
there.
absolutely do, especially in like the malls and the restaurants. I mean, the airports and everything. But I went to the city, the sort of deep city of Mexico City. That's where my family lives, and a lot of the food was local. It was like what you remember from all the great American cities, where there's just a nice, beautiful place on every corner selling those beautiful hot dogs and hamburgers and
Yeah,
everything. I will say I did not enjoy the hamburgers from Mexico. The tacos were beautiful. All the local
really.
foods were amazing. I did not like the hamburger I got. You
They
know,
didn't
I
have they didn't have Chili's down there.
oh no, no, no. They had a lot of Chili's, but not quite the restaurant you're thinking of right there. But what's
Wow,
amazing is
that's
that
interesting. That's a total contrast to Lima. I can tell you that if you go down there, that's you see a ton of American franchises down there.
well, especially
There's the local food, of course, and the local restaurants, and we have a thing down there called chifa, which
oh,
is chifa is authentic Chinese cuisine down there, because there's a lot of Chinese in Peru.
there is
Um,
a bit of
but
a
these are
difficult history in
generational
Mexico between.
Chinese, not newcomers. These people have been there 3-4 generations, and
Absolutely.
a chifa down there is not like American Chinese food. It's authentic Cantonese, uh, Mandarin type cuisine, and you just have to experience it to understand
We
it.
need to bring some of that up here, man. I love Chinese food personally, so
And
it's like
then
I could use some of
once you
that.
have it,
You
okay,
can't go back.
once you have it, you never think about American Chinese food again, because this is really not Chinese food. This is Americanized
The
Chinese
veil
food.
becomes lifted, and you
Yeah,
just you know what actual Chinese food is. I
yeah,
love food moments like that, man. I
yeah.
really do.
So, Peru is recognized as one of the world's top cuisine places on the planet. Their Peruvian food is very popular throughout the world, and people who go and enjoy the authentic food walk away amazed because we know how to eat down there. That's the
No,
thing.
we really do. That's what I discovered actually. Personally, and I know this for a fact, folks, because there is a very nice Mexican and Peruvian restaurant in my town over here. So, no, absolutely. I can attest to that. The next time we go, I'm probably going to order some of your country's food, and then maybe I'll give you some advice on what I learned about my country.
You're gonna have to come up here. I can take you up to Longmont. There's a place called Rosario's, and
Oh, there
it
you go. We're
it
name
is one
dropping
of the most authentic Peruvian places in the area.
that.
And they're great. You would love it. You just fall in love, and it's worth the drive. Uh,
Very nice. And speaking of not too far away drives, our event in Longtree for the Hispanic Colorado Republic,
Lone Tree.
Colorado Hispanic Lone Tree. Thank you. I knew I was getting something wrong there. Colorado Hispanic Republicans tomorrow, our Christmas party. We hope to see you there. But again, one thing they Mexicans really appreciated was that Donald Trump actually was starting to notice us in America. That they noticed, because one thing about Hispanics, they're very good at social media, even if they're older. Hugo is extremely good with technology. The older Hispanic people, they know how to craft videos, they know how to add music, they know how to layer things, they know how to do things that it took me a long time to learn how to do, and they absolutely follow, the messages of social media. And so when Trump posted a Virgin de Guadalupe image, when he announced Marco Rubio and Chavez de Remer, potential cousin of our Hugo Chavez, right? We don't unconfirmed reports.
Might
Um,
be.
Probably, right? But so we've got two Hispanic secretaries up to bat. The Hispanic America is taking note of this to say, wow, we've got a person in America who respects us, who respects our culture, who says maybe we have more to offer than just being gardeners. We have more to offer than the stereotypes that, let's be honest, Democrats had put it up for us for a long, long time out of political expedience. So when we break down these paradigms, we actually are doing a real service to the image of America for hundreds of millions of people. So the work
Um,
you help us do, guys, is extremely, extremely noticed and really beloved across the world. Don't think for a minute that what you do here in America only affects America. It affects the whole world. And we're
and
going to give hope to the whole world is our mission.
now, speaking on that topic, I would just want to mention one thing. I recently had a discussion online with some folks who the topic was about um, what Greg Lopez had mentioned, and he made a statement saying that he hoped that President Trump would appoint some Hispanics to positions in his cabinet. And some people took that the wrong way, and they of course they came out and attacked Greg with this identity politics label, which is totally opposite of what we're talking about. What we're
Completely.
talking about is that you give deference to the Hispanic culture because A, it's the fastest growing demographic. It's not about identity politics, and nobody is talking about selecting a Hispanic just based on the fact that they're Hispanic.
Right.
They have to have the qualifications for whatever the position is, and they must be able to do the job. And what I told these
Precisely.
people was, look, what he meant to say is if all things are equal and you have a Hispanic candidate, that you should make an effort to appoint some because they are qualified and just as capable as any of the others that may be on the list.
Exactly.
So,
No, I think there's a fear, though, because of course we know that the Democrats sort of desperately tried to do exactly the same thing with the black vote, and it didn't work, and people didn't fall for it. This is the inverse of something like that, which is we actually want to give, like you said, deference to the people who have been ignored politically for the sake of a different political expedience. The Democrats wanted to push unqualified people. I'm gonna say it, unqualified people of color, DEI hires, and they diluted the entire idea of putting people in positions because their unique experience makes them the best person for the job.
yes.
The
And
Democrats
that's
completely.
what I explain to these people is that nobody is talking about what do they call it, the affirmative action
Yeah,
type
no,
stuff,
not at all.
where you select people just based on their skin color. No, we're talking about finding qualified, highly qualified people of Hispanic descent who can serve in those positions, and they're just as qualified as any other racial makeup.
Right.
And that's how you build a coalition.
Exactly.
That's what the purpose of selecting a variety of folks to serve, so that the face of the party looks like America. And
Exactly.
that's the point, not identity politics or anything
Well,
else.
it's because let's be honest, Hugo. When Democrats say exactly what you said, when Democrats say, "I want a country and an administration that looks like America," they want to fudge the numbers, on what America looks like, to have their particular interest group that they get votes from to be that looking more like America. So I think it's just a knee-jerk reaction. That's what we have to stop. We as Republicans need to stop having knee-jerk reactions and try to have this inquisitorial nature to say, well, you said something that reminds me of what Democrats say, so I don't like it. We
Yeah.
can't do that anymore. We got to evolve.
No,
We got
it
to
has to
evolve.
do it has to do with common sense.
Yeah,
If you want this country to move forward and to be uh, the voice of the people, then you have to have people that represent the variety of demographics that we have. That's
precisely.
what it boils down to. Nothing to do with uh, say selecting someone who's Hispanic over someone who may be white and higher qualified. That's not the point.
Right.
The point is that you find equally qualified people, and if you've got a slot for a Hispanic, then you select that Hispanic. But it has to do with qualifications, and it has to do with common sense about what America looks like.
Well, I think it has to do with cultural experience as well, because let's be honest, every single culture in America probably produces really only one or two geniuses, real savants in anything. It takes a lot of collective effort in communities all over the country, every single village, every single city, every single group of professionals. It takes a lot to put one person to a position where they can do that job. It's the work of everybody,
Yep.
and that usually requires smaller groups of people. That's why we don't have massive centralization. That's why we don't have Chinese style, Russian style, this communist style government. We have federalism. We have diffusion of power and responsibility and culture. And so we have a lot of talented people that are from different origins. That's just the reality we're recognizing. That's what the Roman Empire recognized to make it great. That's what America's making itself great, has made itself great, will always make itself great by utilizing all the cultural skills that we are lucky enough to have wash up on our shores.
Yep. And to those who think it's identity politics, here's what I have to say.
Yeah, you want identity politics? Remember when identity politics was coming from that lady? No,
Exactly.
we're not offering anything similar, people. Come on.
All right. Let's roll into a hot topic that has been in the news.
Hot
And
as a crack pipe? I'm
of
sorry.
course,
That was mean.
yes, of course, for months, we heard President Biden say, I will not pardon my son. Mr. President, will you pardon your son? No. Have you decided affirmatively on that. Yes. And of course, we all know now that, well, I knew when he was saying it that he was lying, and anybody with half a brain knew that he was lying. But let's take a quick look at what is happening right now with this topic, because we've got the left who is going off the deep end,
As
saying
they tend to do.
that Republicans are hypocrites, and that cry me a river, the president has the power to do what he wants to do, and now that they're being called on it, they don't like it. So let's.
Well, we know that he has the power. He has the power to do it.
Yep. Let's listen in on this little newscast.
Here. Wake up, I'm Natasha Sweet. President Joe Biden announced a pardon for his son Hunter, reversing his previous stance on the matter.
I'm extremely proud of my son Hunter. He has overcome an addiction. He's one of the brightest.
He's proud of his crackhead son, yes.
Most decent men I know. And I am satisfied that I'm not going to do.
What did he say? He's the most decent man he knows?
Well, that explains a lot.
That's a lot.
Anything I said, I abide by the jury decision, and I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
The pardon comes just days before Hunter was scheduled to be sentenced for multiple gun and tax offenses. Biden stated he struggled with this decision, but felt his son was treated differently during the nearly 6-year investigation.
Oh, I'm sure he struggled. He struggled with Dr. Jill.
He hopes Americans will understand his choice as both a father and a president. This surprise announcement occurred just before Biden embarked on a long-awaited trip to Africa. In a post on Truth Social, Trump called the move a miscarriage of justice. Yeah. Some in Congress are expressing enthusiasm over President-elect Donald Trump's nomination of Kash Patel as FBI director.
I've encouraged President Trump to bring Kash Patel to the table for precisely this reason. Unlike Jake, I understand his resistance to talk about Kash, but I'm more than happy to talk about him. He represents the type of change that we need to see in the FBI.
Representative Claudia Tenney praised Patel as a brilliant lawyer and investigator, stating his nomination signifies a shift away from the status quo in the FBI. She believes this change is crucial.
Maybe he can investigate 100 times better.
This is what is really sticking in the craw of the left. But let's talk a little bit about the pardon. The pardon is not so much that he pardoned his son, but what he did was create a, how do you put it? He created this chasm going back to 2013. So he has pardoned his son for anything and everything that he did or may have done, or may not. We may not even know what he's done.
You don't cast that net unless you know you're catching fish. Let's be clear about that.
But here's what's being ignored. Okay, let's be honest. The reason he pardoned his son was not because he's the finest man he knows.
No.
He pardoned him because he's CYA. He's covering his own ass. Okay. And that's what it's all about. He knows that with the new leaders coming into the Justice Department, the FBI, and other places, that his family is a prime target. So let's see what happens in the days ahead. There's rumors that he's going to pardon his brother. He's going to pardon his sister, and anybody else that was involved in this whole cabal to extort money from the American people and give it to despots in exchange for granting access to the American government through Biden, both when he was a vice president and then when he was president.
Absolutely.
So anybody that thinks that anything else is up is just not paying attention. And you watch, in the coming weeks, we'll be reporting on this. He's got, another 6 weeks left in office.
Yep.
He can do a lot in that 6 weeks. So let's watch with really interesting eyes what and who he pardons over the next few weeks, because
Absolutely.
I think clearly that this is an attempt to cover up what he and his son and others have done while he was in office. He is absolutely the most corrupt president in the history of the United States. I don't even think it's close. Can you
Probably
think of
not.
anyone else that was as corrupt?
Honestly, not openly, because there's been a lot of presidents who, like with Ulysses S. Grant, who just allowed stuff to happen, like, or later on with the Teapot Dome scandal. Like, there is a lot of precedent, but this is like almost like Somoza in Nicaragua, or like just a Banana Republic family level of dictatorial, like this is embarrassing dictatorial, familial, classless kind of stuff. Like, this is something that, as I said, you don't cast a net that big unless you know you're catching fish. Like, he's literally preemptively trying to pardon, which I'm not sure he can do that, pardon for crimes that haven't even been like discovered yet. Because let's be honest, he doesn't want it to lead back to himself, and it is going to lead back to himself. That's why
Well,
he doesn't want this to come out.
the part that a lot of people are not aware of is that the fact that he has pardoned him for such a long stretch of time indicates that there's an effort to cover up.
Yeah,
So I heard, I've heard different opinions on the topic. One of them was a legal expert that said that we may be looking at an actual obstruction of justice act in his pardon, because
very much could be.
if his pardon interferes with the legitimate investigation of crimes that were committed by him and others, then that basically is the very definition of
Yeah,
obstruction of justice.
it absolutely is, and
So
and
it's
that's
going to be interesting to see. But I tell you who's sending shivers down the spine of all these leftists, and that's Kash Patel.
yeah.
They,
I mean, I definitely wouldn't want to have that guy as my boss if I was in the intelligence community. Let me just put it that way. Like,
well, people don't know a lot about him, but this guy is super qualified to be FBI director because he has been involved in the intelligence community. He knows where all the bodies are buried. He knows what needs to be done to clean up this corrupt FBI and DOJ, and he's not afraid to. He's not afraid to do it. I've heard him speak at different events, and this guy is bold. He's knowledgeable. He is highly, highly qualified for the job, and that's why you're hearing so much saber rattling coming from the left, because they know this guy means business, and they don't want him to be in position to issue that business.
well, then they shouldn't have lost the election so totally if they wanted to be in any position to stop it. I mean, this just shows honestly that the American people have totally rejected the Biden, Obama, Clinton, the let's be honest, the Kennedy wannabes, the people who want to make their own little families, their own little factions. This kind of politics has been decidedly rejected as so outdated as to be beyond discussion, and that we choose the popular movement of the people that's actually endorsed by the actual Kennedy. We prefer that movement over these wannabes. I think
Yep,
we made that very clear. Thank God
absolutely.
for it.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't know about you, Hugo, but one thing after eating the delicious food in Mexico, I am ready for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to get rid of this, let's be honest, leftist aligned corporate nonsense, this sort of Bill Gates buying up all the farmland levels of these people have. We really have no idea what they're doing to our food. And, I have actually been listening to a lot more of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. And his message, and I'm getting more and more excited about him taking over the Department of Health and Human Services, if I'm not mistaken. I will check that, but it is absolutely a great opportunity to clean up America's food, because I felt extremely good eating in Mexico. And one thing that you touched on earlier that I wanted to bring up you kind of have to be forced to eat something good for you. Like if it wasn't for my family encouraging me, please eat, go eat, you gotta eat, I probably wouldn't have eaten so much, and I probably wouldn't have eaten so much coming back home, feeling healthier as I do so. The dancing, the actual something where you actually did something, some exercise, something physical, that was absolutely extremely beneficial. So I'm really excited for that kind of rhetoric from the Make America Healthy Again kind of crowd and general idea, because I really, really think that that's going to open up a huge potential for America. I mean, that has a lot to do with mental health as well. People really don't know the connection or don't remember the connection between mental health and fitness and good diet. So absolutely, Trump's cabinet picks given us a lot of positive encouragement for these next 4 years.
And there was something interesting that caught my attention, and that is the fact that our own governor, Jared Polis, came out and basically disapproved of Biden's pardoning. He says, while as a father, I certainly understand President Biden's natural desire to help his son by pardoning him, I am disappointed that he put his family ahead of the country.
Yeah.
And that's kind of interesting coming from that guy, where he's put his own agenda ahead of the state here in Colorado. So,
well, he's not the only Democrat who
talk about the pot calling the kettle black.
But you remember, Hugo, from the RNC, we learned that he wasn't the only nor the first Democrat to criticize Joe Biden seriously. We had our own Jason Crow, who wasn't particularly happy with him after Biden gave him quite the dressing down. So it looks like that a lot of the wannabe far leftists, or kind of the jockeyers, the people who are kind of jockeying for a position in the future Democratic Party, especially coming out of Colorado, they have decided to take little bites out of Joe Biden on his way out. It's really interesting. We're going to see if the Democrats actually fall for it, though, won't we, Hugo?
Well, it's what they call the rats
leaving the shit.
So
Absolutely.
Basically, that's what this is all about. But let's listen in on another clip here that I wanted to bring up regarding this topic, because I think it's important to understand. All right, here we go.
I hope that they say we're going to hold people accountable for bad behavior. It starts at the top with the Bidens.
Hunter Biden could return to testify before Congress next year, even after his father, President Joe Biden, pardoned him of federal crimes, according to Oversight Chairman James Comer. It's unclear whether House Republicans will continue investigations into the Biden family when they continue their majority next Congress. But Comer did not close the door to the possibility when asked by the Washington Examiner. Comer said, "If the Attorney General wants to pursue justice and she wants our assistance, then we'll help. Obviously, there were a multitude of financial crimes committed. What he was charged on was just the tip of the iceberg. That's why the pardon was so broad." The House Oversight and Judiciary Committees spent 2 years investigating the Biden family in an attempt to impeach President Joe Biden. Members of the Judiciary Committee have indicated they want to bring Hunter Biden back for more testimony, noting that
Lanier by.
Okay, so you see what's going on there. What they're saying is basically that now that he's been pardoned, when they call him back in to testify, he can no longer plead the fifth because he is no longer in jeopardy. So that's going to be an interesting scenario to look at in those hearings. And
this isn't over by a long shot.
There will be hearings, but I want to see him up there and under oath. And if he refuses to answer, then they can charge him with contempt.
Yes,
and then they can still jail him, because that's past the pardon. The pardon isn't gonna cover him in those hearings.
Nor
So-
should it. I mean, this needs to be stated that no one's above the law. Look, if Donald Trump and his family had to get dragged through the court system, then you know what? You guys have to as well. It's only fair.
Oh,
No one's above the law, right?
The famous no one is above the law. Come on.
I'm nothing and nobody, so I must be above the law.
Yes, you are.
Thank God I'm not somebody, otherwise the law would apply to me.
It's unbelievable how hypocritical these people are.
Well, and
So-
we just got to contend ourselves with the fact that these people will not be in power or office in very short order.
Yep. So there's been some interesting developments in the cabinet picks. It's going to be interesting to see who survives the actual
Confirmation process, right?
confirmation process and who we end up with in the various positions. Now, we know, of course, that Matt Gaetz stepped aside and that Pam Bondi from Florida, who I think is a terrific pick. I mean, she is. I don't know if you've seen the movie The Lioness, but that term applies directly to her. She is a no-nonsense, very qualified, and I even heard a very staunch Democrat on CNN say that this pick scares me more than Matt Gaetz, because he said this woman can actually do the job and she knows what she's talking about.
She's also somehow almost 60, if you can believe it. So I think a lot
I
of people
know.
don't
I
realize
heard that. I had not even paid attention to her age, but when somebody said that, I said, "She's 60?" I thought she was like in her late 40s or something. You know.
That's what people think of when they see you, Hugo. Man, my goodness.
Yeah, they don't think I'm 75, but
No, people don't think I'm my age either. They don't think I'm old enough to drink. So that's what the beard's for.
Yep, absolutely. So anyway, that's going to be something to watch, keep an eye on, and we'll have more on that on those developments. And of course, I'm fired up for inauguration. I'm fired up. It's amazing that what a lot of people aren't really thinking about is we're exactly 1 month from the election.
Yes, we are.
And look how much Trump has already affected in those 30 days.
Absolutely.
And he's not even president yet.
It's absolutely astonishing, isn't it? I mean, that's what a force of character can do.
You've got Trudeau going to Mar-a-Lago, hat and toe, begging, and all of a sudden he's buds with Trump when before he was one of the ones calling him Hitler.
We had Bibi Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago before Donald Trump even won the election, like shortly after Kamala actually stepped into the ring. So I mean, and then we had, of course, Zelensky meet with Trump before. We've having all of Europe finally saying, hey, we probably need to start spending money on our own defense rather than just relying on the U.S. all the time. We've had so much happen in this past month. You're absolutely right. I've barely been able to keep up with it myself.
Well, it's like a news bite a minute. I mean, it's like every time
I missed a week of it, and I'm struggling to get back up to speed.
I've been distracted, obviously, with things going on. I haven't been totally paying attention, but when I hear certain things pop up on the news, it just amazes me. Think about this: the top tech giants are going to meet with Mark Zuckerberg, of all people.
Mark Rutte, who's the next NATO Secretary General, is set to meet with Trump very soon as well. So yeah. I mean, a president-elect has probably not had this much power in American history.
No, and that's a fact, because the bottom line is Trump learned from his first term and he hit the ground. They've been planning this for months, folks.
Yeah, years even, because they thought this was going to happen in 2020.
They knew that they were going to win, and the American people solidified that. And the left is just gone bonkers. You've got the possibility of Elon Musk buying MSNBC from Comcast,
As they would much deserve, honestly.
and if he buys MSNBC, there's a whole lot of people that better have their resumes ready because they're not staying around that network.
Oh no, not Morning Joe. What will we do without them?
Oh, Morning Joe and Mika went to Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of
Trying to
people with
cozy
hand
up
in
to
hand.
Trump.
Oh,
Come
my
on, man.
goodness.
Somebody needs to pull video of those jokers and what they were doing for the last 10 months and play it back to them. So, Joe, do you still mean this? How about you, Mika?
They'd have to just look at you and say, well, that's not fair. We're journalists. You know that we don't mean a word we say.
Journalists. Yeah, that's a joke. They don't know the meaning of the word.
But, what's not a joke, though, is how much Donald Trump's getting done, even south of the border, because even Mexico's new president is talking because she is a nationalist as well. She is kind of, as everyone says, that the new Mexican president, Claudia Sheinbaum, Mexico's first woman and Jewish president. Although, one thing I want to mention, in Mexico, the Jewish community is not like it is in America. Most of the Jewish community actually didn't vote for Claudia Sheinbaum. So that's really a sign of a really healthy society, honestly, that people don't feel the need to group up like that for their own interests. It's a very much diverse community, very interesting, but very much she is in the mold of the previous Mexican president who did a lot of good work with Donald Trump. And she recently, Donald Trump has reported that we've had excellent talks with, we have a article here, Catalog MSN from the Washington Post. And we have this, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum and Donald Trump agreed in a phone call that the countries will have good relations, that she dismissed any threat. They say dismissed her. What she really said was, there'll be no need for that, is what she really said. They said, basically, we won't have to worry about any potential trade war. There isn't going to be conflict between Mexico and the United States on trade, just as there wasn't under AMLO. You see, a lot of people in Mexico remember Clinton and his NAFTA and how it almost caused a famine because it wrecked corn prices over environmental ethanol. We tried to replace the oil industry with ethanol. A lot of people don't remember that. But the biggest thing that Steinbaum and Trump are going to do is stop migration through Mexico. That we're not going to close the borders, she says. She says we're going to build bridges. Now, what she means by that is that we're going to keep the economic gates wide open. We're going to have more trade, more manufacturing taken from Chinese jobs than ever before. But what we're not going to tolerate is illegal immigration. We're not going to at all do that. It says right here, apprehensions have plunged 75%. So they're letting through 75% more people. When Biden said, "Oh, we're going to get tough on the border," no such thing. No such thing. We're going to have to wait for Trump for that to happen. Trump was extremely, extremely positive about the meeting, so much so that actually Claudia had to make some powerful statements, some rah-rah nationalist statements of her own, say, well, but Mexico's a sovereign nation and we have all of our plans. And it is, and they do. But it really says a lot that the meeting went so well that Claudia has to kind of posture a little bit. She has a lot of interest in establishing her own independence, both from her own party, her mentor AMLO, and Donald Trump. But we're going to probably see a lot of people in Mexico said that she has very likely little ability to pull away either from her party or her mentor AMLO. So what we should see in Mexico is more of the same with Donald Trump, more of the prosperity that we saw in both countries. This is great news. This is absolutely fantastic news from on both sides of the border, honestly.
Well, that's the dirty little secret, though. If America prospers, Mexico prospers.
Yeah, and Canada too.
And Canada too. And that's what's lost on a lot of people. They think that we here in America hate Mexicans. We don't hate Mexicans. we don't hate the country of Mexico. What we
Right.
hate are the despots. We hate the cartels that,
Absolutely.
absolutely destroy good people down there. There are a lot of good people down there that want their country back too, just like we've wanted our country back. So
There is, and they don't. I learned also that Mexicans, they don't often have private firearms, especially in the cities. But in the rural areas, there's more of an interest in private firearms again. Because again, another thing is Trump said that he would only slap a 25% tariff on Mexico and Canada unless they cooperated with stopping the invasion of fentanyl and migrants, which is something that everybody wants. Everybody
course.
wants this. It's going to, like they said, it's probably going to face a rocky beginning period as we transition away from the destructive Biden policies that so destroyed us at the border. There's going to be a time of transition, but don't let the media fool you by telling you that no progress is being made. There's progress already being made. There was progress already being made. And
Yep.
the first thing we have to do is fix the rollback of that progress that Joe Biden is responsible for. Fentanyl kills. Mexicans have no interest in having all of these dirty drugs inside their country. Mexico has a very strong drug policy. Unlike here in Colorado, marijuana is not legal in Mexico. Everything is very highly regulated. These people still have a very, very, very strong conservative culture when it comes to all this stuff. So we in America are able to help more than anybody else to force people to do the right thing. Like I said, when I was in Mexico, I had to be forced to eat all the food that was so good for me. Donald Trump might seem forceful, but for some reason, we human beings, it's our fallen nature. We got to be forced to do the right thing sometimes, but it doesn't mean we don't want to. We always want to do the right thing.
Well, imagine, if the drug car.
Salud!
Ah, imagine if the drug cartels were able to be run out of Mexico. What kind of a country they would have? I mean,
Mexicans would be happy.
Absolutely. The good people there, deserve happiness, and they deserve to have their country back. But they have to also be willing to do the work to do it. And
they are.
And I think that there could be some progress there, as well as in other Central and South American countries.
Colombia doesn't deserve to be a cocaine hub. Peru doesn't deserve that either. I mean, and Venezuela and Cuba don't deserve the communism they're under. This Trump's second term could honestly be a great era of hope and real progress for Hispanic America to get away from despotism. There is still vestiges of socialism in Mexico that hold back its progress. So no, I remember. I'll share this one thing really quickly. That there was a gentleman on the plane with me, and he talked about how he said, in America, you guys got a lot of opportunities, a lot of paths in life, but so many of those paths, you have people at the end who stop you from realizing your dreams. People in your government, people in the corporations, people who don't respect the fact that these American values are for everyone, including the upstart, not just the guy who made it. And I said, what do you feel like in Mexico? He said, well, we feel like that there's a lot of opportunity, but in America, you're always responsible for your successes and your failures. So Americans aren't used to pointing out and saying, hey, I'm not responsible for my failure. I got someone in the government. I got somebody who's big up top, who's friends with the big government people, who's friends with the big guy, giving the big guy 10%. That guy's responsible for my failure. He said in Mexico, we're used to that because we had dictators. We had people who we knew it was their fault. America, it's brand new for you. So it's hard to say, hey, it's somebody else's fault and I'm not just whining. It really is. But you guys are finally doing it. And I said, really? He goes, welcome to the land of opportunity.
Yep.
I think I'll remember that the rest of my life.
No, I think there's going to be some very interesting developments starting January 20th, and a lot of people are looking forward to some sanity and
I know I am.
some real good developments for the country, and everyone's looking forward to getting back to some semblance of normalcy. It's not going to happen completely overnight, but something that I've already noticed, and I was just telling my wife, we were driving, my brother actually, I was driving with him yesterday, and we drove by a gas station, and gasoline was $2.59 a gallon.
Wow.
And he looked at me and says, $2.59. I said, "Yep, Trump's already having an effect." He hasn't even taken office yet. So
Very true.
it's
But
good to see the things that are taking shape. It's good to see corporations that are now prepared to shun political correctness and wokeness,
yeah,
and they are they're changing their policies. Look at Target, for God's sake. Target with the Merry Christmas. I mean,
now that's how you know America's back, when Target is doing this. Because you all remember that between the Walmart and the Target was for the bourgeois liberals. Remember that
Yep.
was Target's image for so long? No, it seems like it's back in America again. How's
well,
that for you?
it's the effect of the American people. This election has had a terrific effect on people, and all the way up to the corporations. And that's not to say that there aren't idiots still running some of these places, but at least they're making business decisions, and not idiot decisions based on political correctness or wokeness. And a lot of companies are changing their policies with regards to their policies within the company, and it's being received well.
It really is.
Even people who are. I read a story just yesterday, as a matter of fact, where this little woke cashier was checking this guy out at the grocery store, and he put his stuff on the conveyor belt and was checking out, and he got up to the cashier, and he was wearing a MAGA hat. And as soon as she saw that, she froze, and she says, "We don't serve people like you here." And he says, "Excuse me?" He says, "We don't serve people who follow that ideology here. You're not welcome here," so to speak, is what I'm paraphrasing a little bit. But anyway, one thing led to the guy says, "Look, I'm just here to buy my groceries. I'm not here to argue or get into a discussion about anything." And she kept on, and people were lined up, and people were starting to shake their head. And so the guy finally shook his head, threw his hands up, and walked out. Guess what happened the next day?
I bet somebody contacted this gentleman.
The manager of the store called that cashier into his office. And guess who the guy was that she disrespected at the cashier?
Him? Someone in his family? Or
he was the owner of the grocery store.
Oh, well. This is why, if you don't own the place, don't try to make the rules, people, because and I think you see this. So the one thing I want to
talk about instant karma.
It is instant karma, and we're gonna see that a lot, because it's not all. There's a lot of negative emotion that's been coming out of Trump's victory as well, mostly from people who really hate him, and whether it's the dictators or the Islamists or the leftists or the the people under demonic influence, whatever it is, whatever the heck it is, they're gonna burn out. They're gonna burn out in the time that we actually take full picture of things in America, in Trump's second term America. Yep. Be ready for the bottleneck, people. I want to say that. Be ready for the bottleneck, but enjoy December. Enjoy this beautiful after January, but please be with your family. Be surrounded by love. Now is the best time to do it.
We want to wish you all a Merry Christmas. we're gonna do it the whole month.
Yes.
But get out, be with your family, enjoy some shopping, plan your Christmas holiday the way you want to plan it, and don't despair.
Yes.
Help is on the way.
And remember to eat and drink and be happy and dance and love life. Feliz Navidad, muchos, everyone. Happy Merry Christmas.
I'm singing that tomorrow night.
There we go. Remember, everybody, tomorrow we're going to have a link in the description. Colorado Hispanic Republican Christmas Party. Listen to us sing. We will enjoy seeing you there. We'll be very
I'll
happy
have
to meet
everybody
everyone.
singing by the time.
Yes! You're going to love it, everybody.
I want to wish everyone a good night. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We hope you enjoyed the show. And as always, hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel and X channels, and help us to grow.
Yes, tell all your friends about us.
If you're feeling generous this Christmas season, drop us a couple bucks. Everything helps. And we thank you in advance for your generosity.
Yes.
Have a
thank
good
you guys
night,
very
everyone,
much.
and we'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Very nice. God bless America, everybody.
God bless America. Good night, folks.
Good night.